mate. We're here to talk about anything and everything, primarily getting your life in order, where nothing's off topic. We're talking about emeticism, financial literacy. We may even go into ancient aliens. What else, man? Fitness, arrangement of your scheduling through your week, the whole works.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through a bit of everything, but mainly it's going to be based around leveling up and maximising yourself as an individual. And then we'll talk about history, how that relates to things today, and how you can, by understanding history, you can understand the future and the present. It's going to be a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. And yeah, this is podcast 1, so I hope you guys enjoy.
So, like me, for example, and Mark's the same, we are starting to get to the point in life where we're generating multiple streams of income. So we're in the money matrix right now. And the difference is your 9 to 5 doesn't cut it. Look at the cost of living, inflation. Mark's more, what's the word, of an expert in that area.
Yeah, well, over the last couple of years, you can really see what's happened. So, as Matty said, the inflation's very high, which is the first time it's been like that, in a long time. Probably in a lot of people's lifetime, they've never seen it before. So, it's good to understand how the system works and how to position yourself in a way that you can capitalise on these opportunities, but also not get drowned in the system itself and not get held down by it. So, me personally, I think the inflation's created on purpose. It's all done to remove a lot of the financial freedom from the individual, and you're giving up control. But if you don't have your financial freedom, you don't have control of what you're going to do on a daily basis.
If you look at people that are living like right now, week to week, their whole mindset, and this really actually goes into another topic on top of financial literacy, where we talk about your surroundings as well. If you've got mates, friends, family, etc., that are just wanting to have the latest and the greatest, they're thinking about the next big party or the next greatest outfit or trend, and they want to be a part of everything. It goes into bloody FOMO.
Yeah, what he's trying to explain is, money doesn't appeal to me in a sense of I want to impress other people, I want to have the nicest things, I want the new car. The only thing that appeals to me about money is the freedom aspect of it, and how, if you're working a normal job, in this current system, we're trading time for money. So you're doing X amount of hours, most people are getting paid by the hour, you're trading time for money. It's like the movie with Justin Timberlake, In Time, where everyone has the clock on their wrist and they're trading that. That is the currency. And your clock runs out, it's game over. So, yeah, it's an amazing movie. I recommend everyone has to watch that movie. And the people with more time or more currency have the ability to travel throughout. There's like zones. There's like zones for poor people, middle class, rich people. But if you have a massive amount of currency, there's no limitation to what you can do. If you have a limited amount of time, then you're stuck in the same zone, running from place to place, running to your job just to get by. And that's something actively we want to avoid. And also, if you don't have the financial means, you're really limiting your experiences that you can have while you're here. And by limiting your experiences, you're going to limit your perception. So I believe we're only here to exhaust our potential, and it's more of a spiritual journey than, well, it is a physical one, but it's also a spiritual one, and these things coincide together. So you need to be physically abundant to also, go forward spiritually.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hit the nail on the head with that one. Great bloody topic too there with that movie. So I might go back and watch that.
But what I was saying was exactly what you were saying, but around being careful of your surroundings, because if your parents were poor or your mates are poor every other week, you're bound to end up caught up in that little matrix. So, as Mark said, you really need to expand your horizons, exercise a bit of discipline, and generate multiple streams of income, which is what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah, what I've learned is it's a mindset. Like your financial standing is actually a mindset. So if you're at the bottom of the totem pole, it's because your mind is keeping you there. You know what I mean? You're just running in a repeat cycle, going in circles. Where if you can actively take control of that, and you can manipulate your mind in a certain way that's going to put you in advantageous positions and essentially be able to profit off it in the future. We don't mean this in like a profane way, like get money, get cars. It's more about having freedom for yourself, providing for your family. If you've got children, giving them the opportunities that they deserve as well. So it's not coming from a bad place and a place of greed, but it's more coming from a place of necessity and to maximise your experience while you're here.
Yeah, and you actually took the thought out of my straight out of my mind, read my mind, with it not being a material thing. It's we're in a position right now where you go to the shop and get 2 bags of shopping and it's $100. Right now with diesel being $2 a litre, I think it is. I remember I used to be able to fill my truck up $40 a fortnight and still have fuel. And that was only in 2015. We're in 2023 right now, and I'm putting $150 in my tank a fortnight, and it's just shocking. Another wake-up call.
Yeah, something to just come to mind is you want to have the financial means to keep your morals intact. If you're in a bad financial situation and you're desperate, a lot of people end up compromising their morals to meet their financial needs. So that's a big thing for me as well. I'm not going to compromise who I am as an individual for financial gain or, out of necessity. So it's important that, you're on top of these things because that affects your spiritual journey as well. If you can't follow your own moral compass and you're compromising that, that's definitely going to affect your spiritual journey while you're here.
100%, which goes into, I think we were talking about the last podcast we made. Unfortunately, we had a few technical difficulties, which is all good. It happens. Everything happens for a reason, but we were talking about manifesting, affirmations, and meditating, and I think you even do a bit of meditating and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's something I do on a daily basis. Like, I'm not a massive meditator. I do it every day, but only for like short periods of time. It's just for me, it's just resetting the mind. And it's about controlling it as well, because today you'll notice a lot of people, they can't sit in a dark room with their eyes closed by themselves, just with their thoughts. So if you can't sit there just with your thoughts, there's a problem. There's something you need to fix, because if you can't just sit there with your thoughts, you're already in self-sabotage mode 24/7. Because those thoughts are running around in circles and you don't know anything about it, or you're not in control of it. So what I like to do is I like to sit there and I like to just try and switch those thoughts off. Like, I have control over them and I can just switch it off and actually just think of absolutely nothing for 10 minutes straight and just reset my mind. And one of the other techniques I like to do is just sit there and just observe the thoughts. Become the observer as like an outsider looking in and, question them. What are they? Why are they there? Are these good thoughts for me? Are these bad? And then, think of a way to make them, or you want to think of thoughts that are going to be beneficial to you and what you want to accomplish.
That's
such a good point. When I'm meditating, one thing I'm doing is, I don't do it anywhere as much as I used to, but I'm sitting there in my own thought, and it's like I'm myself, my own thought, and then I'm a third person, and then I'm the storyteller of what's happening in the situation. So, whenever life's getting too full on with, and I'm always doing something, same with Mark, where we've got our primary jobs, we've got our secondary stream of income, we've got our projects that we work on. One's this podcast, the secondary is, the other one is plan a diary we're creating. And the one thing is, especially with work, I take care of such a large area and a lot of people and personalities, and it can become full on and make you anxious.
People are exhausted. Well, being a manager and managing people, I think it's the most difficult job. You know what I mean? It's such a complex scenario. But touching on the diary, we do have a planner diary in the works at the moment, and it's really it's not ready yet, but once we've got it ready, we'll let you guys know. But it's really about structuring your day and planning for success. Like, if you don't have a plan, if you're waking up every day like an accident, you're not going to get what you want done. Or if you want to take it to the next level, you need to actively plan for that. It's not going to just happen by sitting on the couch playing video games. You need to have these things written down. You need to have it programmed in your mind and to hold yourself accountable to what you've got planned for the day and tick them off as you go. So there's going to be, a gratitude section in there. So it's important to listen and be conscious of what you're grateful for, because, we've got it really good here in the West. I don't care what anyone says. We live in wealthy countries with an abundance of opportunity, and a lot of us tend to forget that. We just take everything for granted. So it's important to be conscious of what you already have. But then there's going to be a section for like affirmations. How do you see yourself? What do you want to become? You choose who you are. Like, the life you have is the life you chose. So it's important to have that vision as well through your affirmations. There's a fitness section, so you can schedule all your workouts. You can write notes about it in there. And there's a list of tasks that you have for the day, and tick them off as you go. And there's also a budgeting section for your financials.
Hey man, I was just sitting there thinking about dropping a little hint here and there so we could put some pictures and things like that up in. But as Mark said, a lot of the biggest motivator for that is we want to help people. The best thing right now is making your life as easy as you can make it, as fun as you can make it, trying to enjoy your physical experience. But and one thing you need to do, going back on what Mark said, was if you aren't planning for success, you're planning for failure. So we talk about diarising, planning. Mark's talked about there's a budgeting section, there's a fitness focus, there's a gratitude section, there's an affirmation section, there's a manifestation section, and then you've got your calendar, and then you've got your actual note section, and it's all conscious and subconscious programming. So, for example, to expand on that, one thing I'm doing as soon as I wake up is, number one, making the bed. It's the first task of the day. If you can't make your bed, you're obviously setting yourself up for failure. And you need to really think about that. It seems like minuscule, but let me tell you now, basically get up and just throw my sheets and go and do my thing. Now I'm up, make my bed, get up and read my affirmations out loud, manifesting them, and sometimes I'll even get up and go into my planner on my notes, which is another thing that I do on my phone, and see what I've got set out. Okay, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this. Passport's coming, travel is in this one. So my projection is not just for the day, it's for the week, it's for the month, and I'm usually however many months ahead of myself. So you need to plan for success. How do you do that? Through all the things that I've spoken about.
Yeah, I'd like to expand on the making of the bed. You know, like you said, it's such a minuscule task, but it's so important because what it does is you're building momentum from the moment you wake up. Task one, done. You know what I mean? You feel good already. You've already done, you've accomplished something, even as minuscule as making your bed, but it's going to move you on to the next task. You're like, what do I need to do next? If you're sitting there on your phone for an hour, you're just losing momentum from the get-go. You're already setting your day up for failure. So that's why, yeah, that is so important. And you build momentum throughout the day. Do the things you don't like the most, get them out of the way first, because it's going to make you feel better about the rest of your day. If you're sitting there thinking, oh, I've got to do this to Savo, and it's something you're really not looking forward to, it's just going to be on your mind the whole day, where if you knock that out first thing in the morning, you know, you're like, I've already done the hardest thing I had to do today, and then everything else is going to seem easy.
And that actually goes off into dopamine responses.
Yeah.
If you're getting up in the morning and the first thing you're doing is looking at social media, you're lost in the algorithm. Let's just really think about that for a second. The dopamine response that your body's now addicted to from that social media. And if I'm not in charge of my thoughts or I'm not thinking consciously, I can be, you know, get up and see all these notifications on my phone and go, oh, but you got to be careful. You got to put that aside. You got to focus on what you want, and don't search for that dopamine response because it's really secondary activity. It'll stop you from getting to your greatness.
Yeah, like expanding on the social media point, like I'm not a big social media person. I'm not a fan of it whatsoever, but you know, obviously in this podcast we're going to be posting things on social media, but we want to spread a positive message, but even so, use it as a tool. Don't use it as entertainment, because you know, if it's free, you're the product. They're gathering your data, they're selling your data, they're taking your attention, they're programming your mind. You are the product, but you can use it as a tool. It's good as a tool, but it's not good for entertainment. So I'm in the business of programming my own mind. I'm going to be very conscientious about what information I'm going to consume, because it's going to affect your perception of reality. It's going to affect how you operate. So I'd rather read books, watch documentaries, watch educational content, watch something that's going to make me better, not drag me down.
And which we'll get into the corpus medicum there, which talks about Hermes Trismegistus.
Hermes Trismegistus.
Trismegistus, sorry. Very important person. But the thing with that is, one more thing I want to talk about there with dopamine responses. There's a study done in some university. I'll find it and put the links below. But it's about people that are out there sitting there saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. And they go out there and they tell the world as if they're waiting for someone to go, oh man, you know, let's do it, you know, I'll help you with it. Here's $1,000. Let's get going. It's not like that. You've got to be careful when you're sitting there saying that you're going to do stuff, because there's a dopamine response, which is actually telling your brain is telling your body that it's part of that task is accomplished, which is not real.
Doesn't even start anything. It started as a mental. It's existing only in the mental sphere of existence at that point in time. If you haven't physically put the action into starting to accomplish that, so you're better off staying quiet on those things and just put in the physical action. And then once it's up and going, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But
which is actually going back on what you said before too, with affirmations and manifestations. It's actually conscientious thought backed by actions. So people will sit there and say,
oh, I want more discipline in my life, and I want to have more, leadership and integrity, and I want to walk in abundance, and I want to do all these things, but there's no physical action back behind that.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful. It's not, it doesn't just work by sitting there saying that I want this and I want that, because I want $1 million in my bank. But that's not going to happen. So we'll go into another podcast where we do a bit of a deep dive and come with our receipts about those facts for affirmations and manifestations. But you got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I'm going to give a little bit of source away. So, anything you see in physical reality is like these basic universal principles that it's based on. So, an example of this, everything has to be a thought before it can be physical. So, if you've got an idea, if you're in your house, look around your room, all these man-made objects, they existed as a thought before they become a physical object. And then you move into the natural things that exist naturally. The same rules have to apply. So that's why I am a believer in God or gods. They're thoughts of other beings, and we're a part of that. So we're all co-creators in this universe.
That is fascinating, man. I don't really think, you've gone off into another topic, which we could do a whole other podcast about that. Being co-creators, people these days don't have any idea just how, and it's going to sound funny, magical we actually are. Everything, like Mark said, in front of you, around, existing, your car, your job, the way you look, it was co-created and manifested through thought. You sit there and say, I want this type of vehicle. And then you actually go out and find the job which can pay for that vehicle. Now you have the vehicle in your driveway. That's if you have enough discipline to go and actually do that. But if you think about that for a second, everything around you thought into existence.
Thought precedes physical reality.
So I think
so. Let's talk about the corpus hermeticum. So this is this book. So this is a very old book, supposedly written by Hermes Trismegistus, but we don't know. But it exists. But I've read this book before, but I lent it to Matt not too long ago, and I don't know. There's just magic in those pages. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's a book that you could read 10 times and get something different out of it every time. What were your thoughts on it?
Exactly. This goes off into ancient antiquity, ancient teachings, primarily linked to all the ancient civilizations around the world. Sumer, Egypt, Africa, the Aztecs, Mayans, people that were there before the Mayans, Yucatans, I'm pretty sure they are. But he has a bunch of quotes here that Mark's talking about, and they're talking about the physical world, the mental world, and the spiritual world, which apparently his name actually means he's the master. He's the
thrice great Hermes, yeah, but it's talking about the three realms of reality.
Yeah, the thrice crown or something like that, which we can find and we can put in a link. But I thought that was pretty crazy just thinking about that as well, because he's also a number of other people which we can talk about. One of them is Stoth the Atlantean. So the hieroglyphs with the guy that has the ibis head.
So yeah, when you go into like polytheism, like there's all these different cultures. They've got their own polytheistic gods. The way I view them is they represent like a psychological archetype. So Hermes, for example, is the god of wisdom, speech, reading. Wisdom, communication, and he's the one that provides advice to other gods.
So page 11 here, he actually starts off with a bunch of quotes, and they're quite interesting.
Like Mark said, you have to really read them 3 times each to understand just how much knowledge is in them. It just expands your whole consciousness.
But one thing that really stuck out to me, right now, we're in the, I believe we're in the future, but if we look at robotics, AI, augmented reality, it's really getting a bit freaky. But one thing that he actually says here, point 23, page 11, is that which is always made is always corrupted. And the first thing that I thought about was AI. So,
yeah, it's an interesting time and age that we're moving into with AI, but I don't know if I'm completely convinced, because to me it just seems still like it's computer programmed. But we don't know what they've got. The stuff that we see, that's really that's nothing to what they're using already, and we don't have access to that stuff. So the power of it, I'm still unsure about, and we'll see where it goes, but it's definitely going to be a big thing. I think it's going to replace a lot of jobs. I think it's going to be quite scary. And it's got a big capacity for evil as well if it's used in the wrong way, but it also has capacity for good, so it depends how it's used.
I think any time that you've got a robot that's weaponized with deadly accurate precision is concerning. But hey man, whatever the military want to get up to right now.
The problem is, like we said, if you're going to use it as a weapon, if you don't use it, someone else is. So everyone's generating these weapons, but they're all at the same time. But that can be kind of a good thing as a deterrent from actual conflict, because the more powerful the weapons are, the less likely you are to engage in conflict, because you're going to be receiving the same kind of treatment in turn.
So, sitting there talking about some different, if we want to really take charge of our life, we can plan and we can do all these sort of things as much as we want, but we really need to take charge of our health as well. Sleep,
100%.
Vitamins and minerals, hormones, all those types of things. And one thing that I found with training is, obviously I'm mid-30s at the moment, but deadlifts, anytime I'm doing deadlifts, sprints, or I haven't done much sprints lately, I'm a bit guilty, but squats, my test spikes, which is a good thing. So I think, a bit of a health tip there, and I'll give the primary one there, because in every episode we're going to give a book that you need to dive into, we're going to drop facts down the bottom, and we're going to talk about health tips and things like that. So, yeah, one thing I've realised is the more I'm squatting, the more I'm deadlifting, which deadlifting isn't really good for your back and your nerve, but I'm only doing 60 kilos and stuff like that, where when I was younger, I used to, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but, 250, 300 kilo deadlifts, 300 kilos? No, not that high. 280 maybe, but yeah, not good for your body.
Yeah, I was doing I did powerlifting for a few years, so yeah, I'm no stranger to those things, which I think is good for me at the time, as a mental outlet that I needed, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I've definitely changed up my training and what I'm doing these days. I'm more focused on feeling good and longevity rather than just going crazy. I'm going in there lifting as much weight as I can. So I like to do a lot of yoga, do a lot of calisthenics, kettlebells, running, sprints, just a bit of everything really. Swimming, I don't really like to put too much constraints, and I like to have fun and, whether you're playing sport or keep it interesting, because otherwise I think, you can put a lot of pressure on yourself and really take the enjoyment out of it. So I want to enjoy my training. I don't want it to be a chore.
And like, why do we have to go to the gym and who are we proving these points to, like squatting? I mean, unless you're some sort of crazy athlete on a world stage, why are we squatting ridiculous amounts of weight, compressing the spine, stressing all the nerves out and all that stuff anyway? Some people just need to calm down, I think.
Well, that's what I realised with when I was doing a lot of really heavy lifting. What am I doing it for? Like, I enjoyed it, and part of me, because I got to such a pretty good level, I didn't want to let it go. I didn't want to let go of the numbers that I lift. As you go in the gym, people, a little bit, yeah. People would look at you like, wow, like they're kind of amazed by the weights you're lifting, and I guess you kind of get addicted to that feeling. And it's hard to let go because, being at that high level, it takes a lot of time just to maintain that. So, yeah, it was a process, but eventually let that go. You can still do some decent numbers, but not the same as what I used to. But if I trained for it, I'm sure I could. But there's no point. Like, what am I going to achieve by that? I want to be more well-rounded. I don't want to be all focused on strength and having no cardio. I want to be well-rounded. I want to be going on hikes. I don't want to be puffed out and, after going walking around for 30 minutes. I want to be able to, I don't want to limit myself with my physical capacity.
It's too taxing, man. I'm not Superman. Learned the hard way. The difference is, you are what you eat as well. Talking about nutrition, the soil these days, as opposed to the soil 30 years ago, isn't so nutrient dense. So we've got to eat twice to 3 times the amount of fruit and veg. Then when we're doing that, we've got all the pesticides and chemicals. I mean, I've seen some little video the other day talking about eat more watermelon and eat more this and eat more that. And me, I'm a freak for doing my research. I need to know what I'm putting in my body and what pesticides it's sprayed with and all that sort of jazz. And the first thing I seen this thing about watermelon was one of the fruits with the highest content of atrazine. And atrazine, I mean, literally changes the sex of animals and frogs. So that obviously goes off into pharmaceuticals in the damn water, and your biggest organ being your skin. Up until I get some sort of $3,000 filtration system, I'll just stick to my porcelain water filter.
Yeah, I can't stress that enough. If you're just starting your journey, like especially with your health and what you're putting in your body, clean up your water. First thing you do, clean up your water. Like, there's fluoride in the water. It's no good for you. It's definitely not. It's a byproduct of aluminium production. It's legitimately a poison. So I was mucking around with ChatGPT recently, and I asked it. I said, "Is fluoride a neurotoxin?" And the answer was kind of interesting. It says, according to the FDA, it's classified as a poison, but the science it's still up for debate whether it's a neurotoxin. So if they can't give you a definitive answer whether it's a neurotoxin and it's classified by poison by the FDA, how can that be good for you in your water supply? I know they say it's only small amounts and that, but I guarantee you, clean up your water, stop drinking fluoride, and I guarantee you'll notice the difference. But you're going to have to do this over a sustained period of time. It's like going to the gym. You can't just go to the gym once and expect results. Do this over a 6-month period of time. I guarantee you will feel different and you'll feel better.
And that's absolutely correct. Like, I noticed when I started filtering my water, being more aware of what I'm putting in my body, what sort of meats coming free range, where these veggies coming from. And sometimes you can get caught up in I need to have this many veggies and this much fruit, but yeah, how much pesticides are sprayed on that stuff. And that's not to scare you. I'm just trying to make this more aware. So yeah, you know, filter your water, and as Mark said, it really, for me, I've always been a spiritual person. It's in our family, it's in our culture, but you know, decalcifying that pineal gland, I absolutely feel a lot better not having so much chemicals in my house and chemicals in my system.
Yeah, so, you know, it's not easy these days, guys. Like, I feel like we're being held down from multiple angles, whether it's the food, the water, the information we get fed, the mindsets we get given at school and things like that. So, yeah, you need to be aware of these things and aware how they work, so you can position yourself and, you know, not be a victim to these things. Another thing to avoid, seed oils. Look at it. Go in the grocery store. So I urge everyone to do this. Go in the grocery store. Go in, you know, in the middle aisles, there's all these packaged foods, all these processed foods. Just start picking up some of them and start reading the labels, what's in them. I guarantee you, in a majority of these products, there's going to be soybean oil. So soy also destroys your testosterone, and it's a seed oil. Terrible for you. There's a lot of them have canola oil. Yeah, seed oils are no good. And you look at the US today, there's just so much chronic illness. Like a large percentage of the population have chronic illness compared to 50 years ago. And my personal opinion is a large percentage of these chronic illnesses are coming from seed oils. When they're talking about, you know, meat's no good for you, and it's not the meat. Like, you can eat as much meat as you want. I guarantee you, you're not going to get fat. It's from the seed oils. That's what's making people fat.
I would even go as far as saying carcinogenic, building inflammation in your system. It's not even anything close to natural, but people don't even realise that the fast food industry and a lot of the places that they're frying up all this crap, just you're consuming it going, oh yeah, a bit of fat food, a bit of this and a bit of balance. Yeah, it's a bit of balance, but that highly processed crap is just building inflammation into your system, which just builds cancer cells, and it's cancerous, which is actually convinced.
Yeah, I watched this recent Jake Tran video on YouTube, and it's about seed oils. So the original seed oil, and just seeing how they pushed this thing with propaganda and got it into the mainstream and brainwashed everyone to use it as poison in their food. So everyone used to cook with animal fat, like lard. Use animal fat, fry stuff up. Nothing wrong with it, perfectly fine. But convince people this is no good. You need to change. So what was it? The original seed oil was cottonseed oil. And if you look at cottonseed oil was used for mechanical devices as an oil because it was toxic. Non-consumable. But they hired a scientist, these companies hired a scientist and kind of got all the toxic things out of it. Well, at least, you know, so it was consumable, at least in the short term. And made it into a food product. People started cooking with this stuff and they'll tell everyone it's safe and effective. You know, we've heard that before. And it's good for you. It's far superior than, you know, animal fat, which is a natural existing, you know, food.
Well, I mean, that's just about as bad as Coke. They used to clean engines with Coca-Cola.
Well, you look at Coke. What is Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola is the most addictive substances you can find, put in, mixed with water, made into a drink. So you've got sugar. The original Coca-Cola actually had the cocaine leaf. That was part of the formula. They have that in there. They've got a lot of sodium in there. So the sodium, so you wouldn't think Coca-Cola has much sodium because it's sweet, like it's got a lot of sugar. But the reason it's filled with sodium as well, because it makes you thirsty. When you drink more,
yeah.
man, like you have to look into these companies, guys, and if you understand how big business works and profit becomes before anything, you'll be surprised. And nothing surprised me anymore with like some of the things that they're trying to sell people. Like, be careful with your shampoos and get something organic, and you want stuff with naturally existing things in it. You don't want things with man-made chemicals that are usually not going to be good for you. So I reckon a lot of these shampoos we got now are making people lose their hair. And people know it.
Well, it is, man. People are, and Mark's actually a barber as well. Mark's my barber, and a number of other people. But the difference is, people are. I mean, some of the stuff I used to use, I'm sure, was thinning my hair. Now I'm using all natural stuff, and it tells you on the back all the nasties, parabellums, I think is one of them.
Yeah.
And it's got nothing in there, and I noticed my hair is way more healthy.
Yeah, I'm not as educated when it comes to the shampoo. I haven't gone down the shampoo rabbit hole enough myself, but I've already come to the conclusion, like, if things aren't naturally existing that I'm going to consume and put in my body, it's usually not going to be the best for you. So now I just work off that as a rule. Obviously, you can't avoid all these things, so you still got to live your life. But, if you use it as a basic rule and minimise your exposure to all of these things, you'll definitely be better off.
One of the things I was sitting there thinking about the other day was some future podcasts as well. We've got some interesting people coming on. I suppose you'll have to wait to see them. The difference is me and Mark are working on a number of things, but a couple of them are obviously future content. The next one is the planner diary, and what was the other thing we're looking at?
We've got some merch, obviously, as well, but we want to get this diary done one thing at a time, get the diary in.
And obviously the diary is going to come at a discounted rate because we're 3 months into the year, so version number 1. But everyone's going to love it. It's something that you need in your life. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's got a lot of good things. And one thing, I was in the shop there looking at all the planet diaries, and they've just got a number of things that, you open them up, and they're so convoluted with crap. I think
everything's got, each one's got a bit of something. But the one that we're making, we're trying to put everything that you could possibly want into one thing. Keep it simple. What you're offering is convenience. You're filling the gap of convenience, and that's what makes good products.
That's right. And making people's life easier. Like Mark said, it's got everything in it that you need. Where most of them, you're looking through shelves and shelves and shelves. They look great. They got this really nice sway, and they're really nicely formatted and all this type of stuff, but they don't have what you need. It's just crap. So that's what you need. The other thing I want to talk about is for people to start getting into the ancient texts. For me, it's changed my whole reality, and really changed the way I perceive civilization and the way we're heading with consciousness and spirituality. One that I'll drop a hint on reading, and I'm a big freak for audio books. I've told Mark the book that I got into in January was the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It talks a lot about Ra. I'll talk about that guy later on. Not the best person, but anyway. January was the Egyptian Book of the Dead. February I got into this one, and I'm starting another one, which I'll talk about in the next episode. But what was I saying?
Well, I want to expand on the ancient civilization and stuff anyway, because I love this kind of stuff. So I think a lot of people are familiar with Graham Hancock by now. Like, I've read his books, I've watched his documentary, I've watched his Joe Rogan podcast. I love his work because what his work is actually bringing back to humanity is mystery. We've lost our sense of mystery and we believe we know everything, science has figured it all out. I don't believe that's the case. I think it's important to have mystery. It makes things exciting, gives you things to look forward to. It makes researching fun. If you think you already know the answers, researching is hella boring. You know what I mean? So I want to.
He calls us a species without vision.
Yeah, and he's right. Like, if you just read this book, these guys aren't idiots. People that are writing these ancient texts were not idiots, these primitive people running around with sticks. They were extremely knowledgeable individuals. I think even, at least spiritually, I think they exceeded us what we are today. We might have progressed physically, but we've done it at the expense of our spirituality in a lot of ways.
And what Mark means, sorry to interject there, Mark, but we're talking about people that can read the stars, the position of the equinox. They would be able to tell when the next Younger Dryas was, which is a major weather event that happens every 12 or 13,000 years on Earth, which we need to be aware about. It's not hocus pocus, it's the truth.
I think that's where the evidence points to. Obviously we can't 100% prove it, but I think if you analyse the current evidence, that's the most plausible theory that's out there currently.
Well, to the point where they're doing ice core samples and being able to tell that every 12 or 13,000 years there's either a massive flood, that's a whole other topic, which is biblical. There's some sort of volcanic eruption, or there's massive storms and flooding. So that's purely science right now. But talking about ancient antiquity and ancient civilizations and knowledge and medicine and things like that, I think the main tablet or tablets that I could direct anyone to read or influence anyone to read or listen to the audio book for would be the 7 tablets of creation. It basically talks about where humans come from and how we got here. So it's not hocus pocus, it's not made up, it's actually written down in tablets that have lasted throughout the time.
And it's interesting to draw in the comparisons, of different cultures, religions, and like I was talking about earlier with like polytheism and a lot of these gods are kind of the same entities with different names, different stories, adapted to different cultures.
Polytheism.
Yeah, that's like a religion, or if you want to call it that, with multiple gods, you know what I mean? And how they're all adapted to, then Christianity was like monotheism, one God, you know what I mean? Where like, I have kind of a blended both. Like I believe in one creator, but I believe like in polytheism in a way that they're like different personalities of the one God.
Absolutely, man. I think that there's definitely some sort of intelligent, divine creator that we're all connected to, or that we come from. I think that it's a crazy concept to think about, but that me and Mark and you are actually the same people, because we have the same consciousness channeling through us, which is,
we're all an aspect of that divine consciousness, broken up into physical reality.
Yeah, we're all sitting. We're so intelligent that we're all the universe, and we're experiencing ourselves. How tripped out is that?
Yeah, well, like we're programmed in a certain way to see reality. Like we perceive reality, our brain interprets information through our senses, and that's how we interpret reality. Where you can take like a psychedelic, and that can reprogram the mind, and then you can perceive reality in a completely different way. So who knows what's really going on here? There's a lot of things going on that we can't see. It's because we're programmed not to see them. So it's kind of trips you out when you think it in that sense.
Yeah, and Mike's not saying go out and take psychedelics.
Yeah.
He's saying, for example, it changes your perspective on reality because it's probably opening you up to more things on the light spectrum. Because we can only see.
Yeah, I don't know how they work, but I know that, you know, it's a chemical change in the brain and kind of rewires you, at least for that period of time that you're using it, you know what I mean?
Well, you look at Mike Tyson, for example, he's a totally different individual now because he went, I think he did some DMT or an ayahuasca trip, where it's basically the death of the ego. And look how spiritual, he's always been a spiritual guy, but look how spiritual and where he is right now and how much he's changed just from that. It's really brought him back into himself tenfold and even better, from an even better perspective.
Yeah, exactly. What was I going to touch on as well? Oh yeah, with the ancient civilizations, I think we're talking about like a divine creator here. They have definitely had a bigger connection with that than what we do now. Like, I think the way, at least in Western society, the way we've set things up, we've kind of cut ourselves off from that in a lot of regards. You know, if you're living in a concrete box, we've got light pollution everywhere, we can't see the stars moving about in the sky, the planets, and, you know, the dance they do. Can't see a lot of that stuff with all the light pollution. We're kind of cut off, you know, we're cut off from all of the animals out in the wilderness. We're cut off from how this world naturally functions. We're in these little bubbles that we've created.
In a concrete jungle.
Yeah.
You know, something as simple as walking out and planting your feet in the grass and the absorption of, I think it's free atoms or something like that. It's like a study of can really put things into perspective for you. We come from the planet, we should be attached to the planet. We're all one with the planet, but the way we live right now is such a technological and material way that we're really disconnected from everything, including ourselves, starting from the pineal gland. But yeah, people just need to really I think snap out of it a bit, stop binge watching all the crap.
Stop sabotaging yourself.
I don't watch any news, man.
I actually do not, I haven't had a TV for over a year now. There is not one TV in my house. And I haven't missed it. I do have a phone, I like YouTube, so there's a lot of educational content on YouTube. So, you know, I watch a little bit of YouTube on my phone, I got my books. And I've got things to do. I've got work to do. I don't have time to be sitting around watching Netflix. So I'm a big fan of this guy on YouTube I watch a lot, Luke Belmar, but he talks about how Edward Bernays, he's the father of propaganda, and he's the guy that come out with all these propaganda for these companies to, you know, push all of these terrible products.
Agendas.
Yeah, and agendas, and he was so good at it. But his nephew is actually one of the founders of Netflix. So, like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's propaganda. It's programming. So, a lot of the time you're watching these things, it's at night time when your brain's in a theta state as well. So, yeah, you're programming yourself at night time.
Yeah. And, you know, talking about Netflix, Graham Hancock was,
Although that was one good thing on Netflix, I'll say that. Every now and then there's something good, but
he was over there in I think Indonesia, Jakarta, looking at that pyramid that's up in the mountain there. Everyone's just jumped on him and slammed him because it's like they don't want to. It's everyone. A lot of people these days have such tunnel vision. They don't want to accept any other reality.
There's a lot of gatekeepers though, so there's a, you know, a lot of, you know, you use his series for example, there's a lot of people that, you know, they've benefited off their own theories and if they're proven to be false, so you don't want to go down to history as a failure. You have to remember, history is written by the victor, so...
Well, even the Darwin theory. Darwin said there was patches in his story and it was going to be, you know, people are going to actually start looking at it in the future and analysing and realising that even his story wasn't foolproof.
I don't believe in evolution.
No.
I don't, like, you read these texts and, you know, this stuff still rings true today. This stuff is like timeless.
Yeah.
It's like timeless wisdom. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
There's what evidence is there to suggest that there's evolution?
Let's be real, you know. I was swimming around in the ocean and I managed to walk up on the beach and grow legs and arms. No. We are, I don't even think it's true out. I don't even think we realise how amazing we really are.
I think we're designed as like
it's embarrassment.
We're like designed as the perfect beings. I really believe that. Like, we just don't understand our own capabilities.
No.
At all. I think we're only barely tapping into them. And
we literally think things into existence. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, so if you've got a lot of people together and you all had a plan, or you had something you wanted to create in reality, you all put your minds together, focus on those thoughts, and then put the physical action in. How can you not succeed? How can you not succeed? Like, the fact that we've got these giant hunks of metal flying around in the sky is insane to me. Like, that idea, that is an insane idea. Like, if you were, you know, living 200 or 300 years ago and someone put that idea out there,
It would be a fun plane, you say.
yeah, that is insane. That's an insane idea. That
It's actually as crazy as the movie Interstellar, but there's so many great movies we should probably reference in the podcast. But like what you're saying, even just sitting in a plane flying through the sky, you're not in a bus, bro. You're flying through the middle of the air. But the whole thing, the whole concept behind that, I actually think with what Mark's saying is we're so divine and intelligent, and one of the biggest haters of us was Enlil, who really tried to shut us down, and he's in the seventh heaven.
so who was he?
He's an Anunnaki guy. So, you know, people say aliens, no, because the difference is
Yeah, but where do these stories originate?
the seven planets of creation, Samaria, Babylon, which is modern day Iraq, which is the cradle of civilization.
Yeah. So, Bright, the YouTube channel Bright Insight, he woke me up to all this stuff. So, he served in Iraq during the war, and he was amazed that, like, that's what started his journey into all these, like, ancient sites and stuff. Is he was there and he's seen all these ancient Sumerian, you know, architecture and things, and he was amazed. Like, man, I didn't know this stuff was in Iraq. I thought it was coming out to the desert. He never heard of this stuff. And then seeing photos of that and, like, seeing how amazing it is and why it isn't talked about more is kind of disappointing. But I think a lot of that's been destroyed now.
Well, magically, you know, like you took the thought straight out of my head. There's a war in Iraq, and a war in Afghan, and a war in all these types of places, and the cradle of civilization. And we look at the library of Ashurbanipal, which is way more dense with knowledge and antiquity and medicism, and than the library, the great library, the great Alexander. Alexander the Great.
There's a library of Alexandria that was created by Alexander the Great.
Yeah, that one. Because I don't know too much about him, but
I've dived in a bit on
I know a fair bit, but I don't know as much as I should because I know more about the library of Ashurbanipal, which had all of these ancient texts. Okay, and I'll talk about that in the next podcast.
They're all in the Vatican.
Yeah, so everyone actually, and that's another thing we really got to realise. Anything that's connecting us to an ancient past, because if you look at the ancient, what I'm trying to tell you is if you look at the ancient past, it's going to tell you all about the future and where we're going. I mean, these people were really, really tapped in, but the difference is, anytime that there's somewhere around the world that's grabbing all of our ancient knowledge and wisdom
And not sharing.
and putting it in the Vatican and all these places, people got to sit there and go, what's going on here?
Yeah, but if you can control the past, like if you look at all of the criticism Graham Hancock's had with his work and his ideas. You know, he's probably not exactly spot on, but I think he's on the right track. If you can control the past, you can control the future. You know what I mean? If people don't know where they come from, they don't know where they're going.
Talking about narrative, right?
Yeah.
Narrative.
Yeah, but if you control it, the narrative of the past, you control the narrative of the future. And you can usher people where you want them.
Yeah, because they're sheep, right? I mean, people are waking up right now.
I think it's awesome. I think we're living through one of the most amazing times in history. Like, there's so much like instability, and like it can kind of be scary. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. But I think we're like, you know, we're at a point where, you know, it could be great in the future. Like, we're at that point of potential where we're kind of at the crossroads. You know, we can go down this path of, you know, diving further into material things and destroying spirituality more, or we could go into like, you know, another renaissance and like a golden age. So it's really interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to see where we go. But I'm just going to enjoy the journey regardless. Can't get you know,
upset about it.
Yeah, it is what it is. But you know, I think a lot of people are awakening, you know, spiritually. I think there's a high demand for some sort of spirituality as well, especially in Western society. Things have been so cut off, and we've gone so deep into materialism that, you know, people are feeling empty, and they're looking for something to fill that void. I think that spirituality is what that void is for a lot of people.
That's exactly right, man. It's a very, you know, when I was a kid, I was always very fixated on the pyramids of Giza and the constellation Orion, 3 stars that you see, and the Sphinx. And sitting here and actually growing up, going, you know, I'm going to see the future and all that sort of stuff. And here we are sitting in it right now, not just because of that. I literally think this is the future. We've got electric cars, man, robots, AI, augmented reality. It's getting spooky, but
it's moving fast, moving very fast now.
I think, and this is the other thing. Like, there's so many people talking about war and all this crap right now. And I think we just need to tone it down and calm down a bit.
What's the point of looking at it? So if you're one of those people that's kind of addicted to watching the news and like, oh, you know, this politician's doing this politician's doing that. Who cares, man? What is it going to do for you? Obviously, you know, if they do something that's not good for you, then you just react with it. You know, you can be prepared, but, you know, you just have to deal with it when it comes up. Being in a state of fear all the time is going to be far more detrimental to you than, you know, just focusing on yourself. Do what's good for you.
Well, let's talk about fear as an acronym. False evidence appearing real. The media love it. The politics of our past love it.
But you even see like social media, for example. You just see like media posts and stuff on social media now. They're posting like things that I guess people would call controversial, but they know it's going to get people to fight. It's going to divide people. It's going to get people to fight in their comments. And when people are fighting, their posts are going to get more engagement, generating more money. But is it good for everyone? Definitely not. But it's making them money, so they're going to do it. So just don't engage with that stuff. If you're on, you know, one political side or the other, it's just a trap. You're just trapping yourself and you're boxing your mind off. Focus on yourself. The best thing you can do for the world is be the best version of yourself, because you're going to uplift other people around you. And, you know, the world needs more people like that rather than focusing on all these negative things and putting all your energy into other people. Like, if you're a massive, like, nothing wrong with watching sports and stuff, but like, if it's your life and you're so dedicated to your team, why are you putting so much energy into other people's things? Like, you don't gain anything off the team's success other than, you know, makes your ego happy.
And sports and all that crap goes back to the Roman days.
It's just a show. It's a Colosseum. It's a Colosseum of games where, you know, as when times got bad in, you know, the Roman Empire, there's a lot of instability, and as it was the Western Roman Empire was collapsing, you know what they do? More games, more Colosseum, distract the people from what's going on. Where if everyone was focusing on themselves, focusing on what they can do to improve society, you know, they potentially wouldn't have collapsed.
So I think, you know, we're rounding it up there, guys. We've got everything off our chest. As we said, there's nothing off topic. Me and Mark can go on for hours and hours. Welcome to the podcast. We'll let you know when the delivery plan's up and ready. We'll keep you posted on all platforms with what's up and coming. If you've got any questions, put them down below in the comments. We've got all the links down there.
Yeah, if you've got any ideas or topics or something you're interested in, yeah, just feel free to put it in the comments, and you know, we might bring it up in a future episode. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.
Peace. Global Podcast.